Hi, I'm Dixon Jowers, member of Team Dynamic Discs for many years now. You may have heard me on my podcast, On the Box with Dixon Jowers, and I want to walk you through my bag and to do a 2017 in the bag, or I guess more specifically, 2017 in the cart. I started using the Zuka cart this year, and I'm very happy with that. It makes rounds much easier, gives me a lot more storage space. Although I did do some modifications to it, so that it kind of fits what I need. A little more space in the bottom. I built a little box and I have a soldier cooler bag here on top so that I have lots of extra storage space, and then during the summertime, if I need it, I can put the cooler in. So as I was preparing to do this video, I was thinking through my discs, and I just finished a tournament, a 4-round tournament. I threw 205 shots during the round, during the tournament. And as I was thinking through all of those rounds, of those 205 shots, 202 were these discs right here. So the reality is I only threw all of the rest of these discs 3 times. And one of them was just as a special thing. So let me go over that one first. I do carry a Justice, and the Justice is super stable mid-range. I didn't throw it for that. This is a very special disc for Team DD. This is called the Justice for All. We were just having some fun on our team page, and this picture popped up, so we made a disc out of it. This is Steve-O's story. Manager of the Dynamic Disc Carrollton store. And what this disc is we're trying to pass it between every team member, and you have to throw it one time during one sanctioned round. So actually that was my one throw when I used this disc this past weekend. But for super stable shots, mid-range, if there's a screaming wind or if I need to make a massive left-hand turn, I'm going to go with the Justice. The other 2 shots, I used Lucid Escape for my roller. The Escape is the disc that first won me over to Dynamic Discs. When I was switching over and all of the discs were new, I was trying to learn all of this Swedish plastic. The Escape was the first one that really caught my attention. If I had to describe this disc in one word, it would be glide. A ridiculous amount of glide. You can throw this disc with hyzer angles, you can throw it hard, you can throw it for tunnel shots. It's really got a lot of variability. What I use it mainly for is for rollers. It's very easy to lay it down on the angle that I want, and because of its ability to just keep going, I can get some pretty long, pretty accurate rollers with this guy. So the rest of these are mostly backups to what these things are. So I'm gonna go over this because this is the stack that helps me to play very well. 2 basic discs are my short game. The Soft Harp, which I've been a fan of this disc for many years, and I would have said this is the most important disc in my bag up until about 6 months ago. However, about 6 months ago, the Slammer came out. So what the Slammer allows, it's a very similar flight path to me, maybe a touch more stable, not an incredible amount, but the Slammer, I can throw it much harder. I can get more distance than I can out of the Harp, and I can throw it directly into a wind. The reason that I will use the Harp instead of a Slammer on any given shot, the Harp does not skip, the Soft Harp especially. So if I need to really stick my landing, if I'm throwing to a side slope, if I'm throwing to some sort of rocky green or some place where a rollaway might happen, I'm going to go with the Harp. But otherwise, I'm going to go with the Slammer. I can throw this on very straight lines, and it will, despite the fact that it's a blunt rim disc, I can get it to go very straight and surprisingly far and extremely accurately. So the Slammer is my go-to disc. I have another Slammer that's just a little beat up. Right now, I'm using just the blend plastic. I do have a Lucid version of the Slammer in my bag, but this thing is so stable right now that I don't really use it for anything other than warming up. But when it comes to shots where I have to make a straight shot or I have to control my distance really well, I'm going with the Slammer. Now, stepping up from the Slammer and the Harp, my other 2 mid-ranges that I use mainly, we'll go with this one first. It is an Opto Compass. This disc is extremely versatile. I can throw it on many different angles, many different lines, and it's got some sneaky glide to it. I can also back off of this and not throw 100% and still get some pretty good distance while very much being able to control my angles. So the Compass for me is the mid-range disc that I go to if the shot suits me right. A lot of my game is just feel. I may practice a course or practice a round and say, I'm going to throw this, but when I step up to the box, something just feels different or wrong or off, and I'll switch discs even if I haven't practiced with that disc, because I know my plastics so well. I feel comfortable in being able to do that. So a lot of the times on upshots where I need a little more distance than the slammer, or if I need to hit a very particular line, a low line shot that still carries, I'll go with the compass over the slammer. If I need a little more distance or a little more carving ability, I'm going to go with the Emac Truth, and this is a moonshine version. This disc is really, it's really revolutionized my mid-range game. I had probably 7 or 8 different mid-range discs that kind of covered a lot of those shots. The Emac Truth has taken the spot of a lot of those discs. I can throw this on hyzer and it will hold the hyzer the whole time. I can throw hyzer flips with it. I can throw turnover shots that will hold. I can throw nose up straight shots. I can get a lot of distance out of this thing if I need to, or I can back off and really control my angles with it. So a supremely versatile disc with both of these. The Emac Truth gives me just a tiny bit more distance than the Compass does. The Compass gives me just a tiny bit more feel, I guess, on a short range shot than the Emac does. Stepping up from my mid-range discs, I have 2 fairways that I use. I had the wrong pink one. The first one is the River Pro. This was the Trilogy Challenge disc from this year, and this is my stable mid-range disc. I can throw this into a headwind. If I need it to carry flat like a mid-range or like a fairway driver should for a while, and then hyzer at the end, I'm gonna go with the River Pro. If I need basically anything else to happen with a fairway driver shot, I'm going to go with the Saint Pro, and this is the moonshine version. This disc had kind of gone out of my bag for I don't know why, and I found myself in a situation about 2 months ago during a tournament where I needed about a 400-foot straight shot with really no finish, and I didn't have anything that I was normally throwing that would fit that. So I kind of had a vague memory that I used to do it with this disc. I pulled it out, and it didn't go 400 in a straight line. It actually went about 425, and I missed the comeback putt because this thing went too far. It might be the most important disc in my bag right now. I have an extreme amount of confidence in this disc that I can throw it on most angles, and it's going to do exactly what I want it to do. The thing that I like about this, as opposed to some other discs, is that if I hit it right, it'll go almost just as far as my high-speed drivers. And what that allows me for is I've got a super long range of where I feel comfortable with this disc. And so as much as you can, as much as I can, if I can repeat a shot with a disc or use the same disc over and over and over, I'm going to, as is evidenced by the fact that I really only use about 8 different discs for 202 shots. I can use this disc on a wide variety of different things, and it allows me to feel confident in that shot. Mainly what I'm using it for is straight line, long shots. Stepping up from the fairway to the high-speed discs, if I need just straight out distance, I'm gonna go with the Lucid Sheriff. These guys are, when I first started to throw them, I was afraid they were gonna be a little too understable. But what it allows me for, and they are on the understable side of things, but I can throw it on a hyzer and get it to flip up flat if I put enough hyzer and just ride. Or if I wanna have a flex shot out of it, I can give it a little less hyzer, and this thing will cruise for days and days and days. The glide on this for a high-speed disc is fantastic. If I need a step up of stability, I've got 2 different enforcers that I go to. This is a misprint Biofusion enforcer that I've had for quite a while, and this is kind of my workhorse long-range disc. If I had to go out to a field or go out to a tournament with only 3 discs, and it had to be a mid-range, a putter, a fairway, and a driver, this would be my driver. I can throw hyzer shots, I can throw turnover shots. Now, it's going to come out, it still is an enforcer, but it's a relatively beat up bio enforcer, and so there's a little less stability than your run-of-the-mill enforcer. But I can throw spike shots with this, I can throw long power hyzers, I can throw flat shots that will hyzer out at the end. A lot of different things I can do with this disc. And if I need a step up in stability from there, I'm gonna go with my Lucid Enforcer. I've had this one for quite a while. Like I said, I've got a lot of backups. So as you can see the difference in the stamps, this one's been thrown quite a bit and this one a lot less. This is my slightly more stable enforcer. This pretty much solves any sort of headwind problems. If I need a big hyzer, if I need a spike, this will do it. If the wind is just really screaming, I'll step up to the newer version. But for the most part, this is what gets me done if hyzer is being requested. Now, the other shots, and probably the disc that I threw the most, on the whole week are my putters. I use 2 different putters, and like I said earlier with the feel, I'll warm up with both putters before the round, and anytime I step up to a putt, I have both putters. It's just a feel thing for me, and they're drastically different, and there's really no reason at all, based on my history of the game, that I should like the Cetus. But it is. It's a fantastic putter for me. I'll get on why I was throwing that here in just a second, but the main straight putter, and if there's no wind, most of the time I'm going to use this Soft Warden. The switching over to DD, the putter was the hardest thing for me to switch. And it took me all of 3 months, and I tried just about every different putter that was offered in the trilogy at that time. And I landed on the Swan just kind of because it felt the best, because the Warden wasn't out yet. It took me many putts, many months, many practice sessions to land on the Swan. Once the Warden came out, it took me about 5 putts to switch from the Swan to the Warden. And I've been on this ever since. And so that's about 4 years ago that I've been using the Warden. Super clean release. It will hold a straight line for a long time. I am a spin putter from the middle, and so I need things to go straight. I don't want hyzer, I don't want anti, I just want something that's gonna go straight, and the Warden absolutely does that for me, and the soft plastic absorbs the chains and falls down to the bottom very consistently. As me and a friend were warming up for a tournament that was very windy, we were not hitting putts. We couldn't hit anything because the wind was so strong. So he had a tee time 10 minutes before me, and as he's walking off, he kind of says in passing, I might as well throw my Cetus on putts. And he walked off because we were both pretty frustrated about what are we going to do during this round. So I was throwing a Cetus as an approach disc at that time, so I pulled it out of my bag and started to putt with it at the practice basket. I didn't miss a putt inside the circle that day with the Cetus, and it's been in my bag ever since. If there's any wind at all, I put the Warden away. This is a soft version as well, and I don't like thumb pads. I don't really like a sloped ridge for a putter, but if I have to go make a putt, I'm going to use the Cetus. It catches very well. It throws, it comes out very smooth for me. It comes out in that straight line. If I need a tiny bit of hyzer at the end, I'll go to the Cetus instead of the Warden as well. And so that allows me to be very confident because I'm so familiar with both of these putters, because I've had so many practice putts. Almost all of the time when I look at the basket, I feel like it's going to go in. Now, obviously it doesn't. I would have finished much better at this last tournament if it always went in. But needless to say, when I need some confidence on the green, it's the Warden and the Cetus, and I feel like I'm as just as good a putter as anybody in the world when I've got these things in my hand. Now, as far as the other things that I have in this bag that I think are essential, and what the Zook allows me for is a ton of storage space. So up here, I've got towels, I've got icy hot, I've got other kind of first aid sort of things. I've got my sanding block. I really recommend these things. You can get them in the painting aisle of your local home improvement store. They're like 99 cents, and it helps to buff out if you've got a problem on your disc. I keep a PDGA rule book. You should always have one of these in case anybody comes up with some sort of crazy rule. Say, prove it to me, and know what's going on. I keep snacks in here. I keep my rain fly. And actually, here's a little tip. I was doing a lesson for Boy Scouts down in Texas one time. And with their motto of always be prepared, they were having a discussion about maybe what are some things that you should bring with you during a round that could become useful. So they were saying things like bug spray or poison ivy lotion. I've got both of those in here. And one kid kind of said in passing, and everybody laughed, and then I began to take it seriously, some toilet paper. Right before this last tournament, I went to the John about 10 minutes before the tournament. Lo and behold, there was no toilet paper. The Boy Scouts from Tomball, Texas saved me. I've had that in my bag for years and never used it, and I was able to use it this time. So there's a quick tip for all you guys out there. Carry a little bit of paper in your bag. You never know what's going to happen. I keep my keys and my wallet and all the rest of the stuff in here. I've got way more space than I ever will need with this bag. I can stick sweatshirts, I can stick extra pants. I've got my golden retriever in there. I keep my sunglasses in there. I keep caddy books, I keep snacks. The Zuka cart, especially the way that it's set up now, allows me to have everything that I'm going to need for a round. And I feel that with these discs and with this bag, I'm prepared for anything that a tournament can throw at me.